Hey everyone, welcome back this week. I'm interrupting my planned video. I was going to do Eldo Part 2, the Discovery Kit, and that'll be next week. But this week I just got a fragrance in I want to talk to you about. It's been discontinued, but you can still get it. Stay tuned. All right, so undoubtedly from the title and thumbnail, you could tell that this is about a fragrance called Black Vines from Kerosene Fragrances. It's actually the first one from the house that I've got. And as a bonus, I'm gonna give you my impression on some samples that I got with it. So I will say to start off, presentation, you get it in this lovely bag. It comes with a little tag on here that gives you all of the information, the notes on the back, a little blurb about it. I'll read it here. There's nothing cold about this scent. It's a warm touch on the shoulder as you are entangled in green vines of black licorice. The spices and gentle sweetness will warm your surroundings. This is climate change for your skin. The fragrance itself comes in this beautiful bottle. I was curious when I got it because I was like, wait, I can see the juice in the top, but it looks like a black bottle. Yeah, it is see-through, but it is extremely dark. So if I got a light, I could probably see through it. Anyway, I had heard about other fragrances from this house, in particular Followed, which is notoriously the maple fragrance that everyone hears about from them. And I was going to get that one, but then I found out that this was going to be discontinued, and I love black licorice. And I love weird fragrances too. So I wanted to get this, thought it would be kind of a fun, different fragrance, and it is. I've been wearing it. I'm gonna tell you about this one and the samples that I've got here. But to start off here, I'll read you the notes. So the notes for this are ivy, fig, star anise, cinnamon, Canadian fir, balsam of Peru, tonka, incense, and vanilla. Like I said, the name of this is Black Vines, but for me, that's just to let you know that it's about black licorice. This is a deeply licorice. This is like Nordic licorice. You know, the stuff that does not mess around. It'll like, you know, make the hair stand up on you because it's so strong. So that's what this is. Very spiced, very deep, very rich. But with everything else here, let me spray it so I have it on my skin, but that's from earlier. So fresh one here. Yeah, even like immediately I got it from there. It's a very aromatic, very expansive fragrance. And a very, very, like, if you like star anise, then this is a fragrance you should get. Like I said, it's discontinued, so they're selling through the remaining stock. I think there's another one on there called Woodhaven that was also discontinued. Not familiar with that one, only experience with this one. But it's kind of simple. There's not, you know, insane amounts to describe about this one. It's a black licorice fragrance, but it comes with extra spices and depth. You got the fir, so there's some woods in there as well. When it dries down, the vanilla starts to come through a little bit more, so it becomes this softer sort of black spicy fragrance. It's a lot of fun, honestly. This is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy in perfumery, is when they do something that's a little abstract like this, or you know, other fragrances. I think Tonka Cole is a good example, or Black Afghano, where they're like, hey, make me an elegant version of this thing that isn't what you would normally consider to be a fragrance. It's not simply black licorice. There's a lot more depth to it than that, and it's a monster too. It lasts a really long time. I think that's kind of a trend with this house, is that they don't mess around with the concentrations. They just give you monstrous fragrances, which is, I can say, the case as well for the 3 samples that I got. By the way, you get this lovely little signed card, which is cool. And then you get to pick 3 samples when you order. So the 3 that I ordered were Blackmail, Followed, and Winter of '99. Winter of '99 is one of their new special editions. I think they had some exclusives that were only available in certain stores that are now available on their website. Winter of '99 is one of those. Followed I got because I want to find out about that maple note, and then Blackmail because I love plum and the notes sounded super interesting. I'm going to start with Winter of '99. I've worn all of these. I think they're all very interesting. They're all very unique. Winter of '99, I feel like, is the one that I like the least, but I feel like it's not this fragrance's fault. So in a former life, I vaped a lot. I don't vape anymore, but when I did vape, I had basically 3 main flavors that I would get. Fruit Loops was number 1 anytime I found a Fruit Loops flavor. Number 2 would be like a Coca-Cola flavor, and then number 3 would be molasses or maple. because usually they would be mixed. And that was the one that was always the most disappointing. I really wanted a good maple or molasses flavor, and they were always disappointing. And the reason I bring that up here is because I think they were using the aroma chemical in the vape, hoping that it would flavor it more than it would, because that was my problem, is like they always smelled like maple, but none of them ever actually tasted like maple or molasses. This kind of has that, but different from Followed. The maple and molasses in this one comes across, I think smoldering vanilla is another note. So the combination of those things with the kind of smoldering vanilla, it reminds me of the smell when I needed to change the atomizer. Not like a terrible smell, it's just kind of like you've cooked some molasses and some maple in some cotton for a while. No one's gonna make that association except for me. And in spite of that, I still think it's super interesting fragrance. Again, that's not like a negative thing, but it is just a very odd association that I have. But the scent itself, I'm gonna wear more, and I'm looking forward to discovering more beyond that note. Next up is Followed, which deserves every ounce of the hype that this thing has been given. This, I mean, I can smell it right here. The cap is on. I actually could smell it as soon as I opened the box that it came in. I could smell the maple. This is just, I think maple is just a hyper pervasive note or something. I was actually surprised. I get a lot more coffee in this than I expected. But you only get that in like when you get up close to it in the air, and oh boy, in the air, you will get the maple. They have these, okay, I'm gonna see if I can get this on camera. But you get these little samples that have the little dabber, right? You have this little plastic dabber. I don't know, maybe I have to block it like this. I don't know if it's working or not. So you see this little plastic dabber. I wipe that on my skin twice, on the back of my wrist here. It's so strong when I open the bottle. I did that on my skin twice, and the room smelled like maple. My skin smelled like maple until the following morning, once I had showered, but I'd washed my hands a couple of times that evening. Yeah, now my fingers smell like it. None of that's a bad thing, because this is a great scent. I actually plan on getting this one. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know when I would wear it. That's kind of my only thing for it. It is like so potent. I feel like if I ever wore this into an office, it would be that, you know, when someone cooks like maple brown sugar oatmeal or whatever, and you're like, man, that is so strong for being a tiny, this is like 50 times that. Someone would go on the hunt to figure out where the hell did a maple explosion happen? Like, did a syrup factory just explode on top of our business? It is, once you get up close though, you do get the cacao and the coffee. It's a very interesting fragrance. I like it a lot. It is a monster. I kind of want it for that. I think it's interesting that it is such an insanely powerful fragrance, unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And I think that's got to be something to do with maple, because it seems like maple in virtually any instance, edible or non, it's a very strong smell. So I think that's part of it here. Anyway, Followed, I can confirm, if you've heard it elsewhere, if you haven't smelled it, it is a maple syrup explosion. It is pancakes crammed up your nose with maple syrup. It's very good, though. It sounds very weird, but it's very good. The last one is Blackmail. I actually want to read the notes on this one, because that's part of the deal with this one. Is it's got a wild kind of set of notes with quite a bit of variation. Okay, so the notes on this one, oh man, the accords are really cool too. Okay, this is a worldly scent composed of intriguing amber and velvety vanilla with a hint of juicy dark berries, rounded out with smoky sandalwood and oud. So the notes on blackberry are raspberries, plum, vanilla, sandalwood, oud, amber, and musk. You may know, if you've watched many of my videos, I love plum. Even though it's like a fictional note or a fantasy note, there's no real plum note, but I love whenever I smell plum in fragrances. I call it a salon accord. Kind of makes me think of, like, there's a barbershop accord. I think plum is part of a salon accord. It just has that kind of like spa feeling to it. So I really enjoy it quite a bit. And this fragrance, it is so interesting, because you have these like really juicy fruity berries, the raspberry and stuff like that, coupled with the oud and the smoke and stuff, and the dichotomy, those two marrying together, is this super interesting, complex fragrance that has tons of depth that you just want to dive in and keep exploring. Out of all of these, out of all 4 of the fragrances, if I had to buy one, I think it would be Blackmail, but I don't regret Black Vines. Very happy to have Black Vines. So yeah, I have at least 2 more from the house that I'm very interested in, that I really like a lot. Blackmail, I think for me, feels the most wearable out of all of these. There's an artistic element to some of to the other 3 that it's going to make them stand out a little bit more in kind of a is that a cologne like kind of a thing. Especially since I went in the more gourmand route with like Black Vines and something like that. It's not very traditional scent. That being said, they're selling through until they run out of stock with the stuff. So if the idea of Black Vines is as intriguing to you as it is to me, you should go pick it up. I don't know if you can get samples of it at this point. You only get samples when you buy a bottle. So I don't think there's any way to sample this one. You're just gonna have to blind buy it. But maybe you'll enjoy it as much as I do. I love black licorice, and as far as when and where, I guess fall and winter, obviously, because this is a very, very heavy fragrance. But yeah, I'll give it some wearings in the fall and winter. Probably an event, something like that would be kind of fun, I think. But yeah, anyway, thank you for this emergency video that's going to come out at the regular time. Leave me a comment. If you smelled this before, let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you next week when I will have my Eldo Part 2 Discovery Sit going. Thank you. Have a good one.